that might be why. There you go. Okay. Cool. That's good. Oh god. And beautiful. Okay, now we are just on TikTok. I don't know if it's slow or what. Okay, it should be live now. It's concerning it is not live yet. Well, there we go. Okay, let me know. I see someone on the YouTube live here. I'm trying to do 2 streams at once, so let me know if it's working out for you guys, and I'll keep an eye on it. Okay, audio sounds good. That's great. Let's go live on. Here we go. I don't know why this it should be live, but you can check it out. All right, guys, we are going live for a tropical update of the Atlantic. Doing a dual live stream today, including on YouTube and TikTok. So we'll see how it goes. Let me know if anyone can hear me on TikTok here. There we go. That's what I wanted. Perfect. Now I don't have to look at 2 things at once. Beautiful. Welcome into the chat, guys. Welcome in. It's been a while. And as you can see, we have a pretty active situation ongoing on our screen here. We have 2 areas to watch for the Atlantic. Starting out with our 90% here, and then I think it might be a little interesting for us to take a look at our actual storm as we let people get into the stream. But looking at 92L here, this is going to be our probably next named storm. It is a 90% chance about becoming the Tropical Storm Gabriel. Gabriel will be the next storm up, and there is a lot of unknown. So we're going to discuss the actual storm. Welcome into the chat. What's up, Will? And how's it going? V. Russ. Hopefully you guys are doing well. We're going to let some more people come in as well, get the algorithm going for TikTok. But let me know how you guys are doing as we'll wait for them. And then we'll kind of break down the storm for you guys. So, looking at the screen right now, it's honestly looking kind of like a mess overall. Not very surprising, as the storm isn't very organized yet. But taking a look at actual satellite imagery here, you can see lots of convection going on. Will, that's a great question. Do I chase it all? I actually will be chasing this upcoming spring. We are working on that right now here at Rainy Day Weather. So, not actively right now. I am actually a student at Penn State, so kind of tied up with classes. But next spring we will be out chasing. So that'll be coming up. What's up, Tufts? Welcome in. How's it going? Well, you're doing well. But yeah, looking at this actual storm of the system here, we have a few things to talk about today. We also have an active, ongoing severe weather threat. You can see across the kind of the Nebraska region, across North Platte, and the northeast corner of Colorado, and the northwest corner of Kansas, right there. So that's mainly focused on our main story tonight. Not seeing anything too crazy out of these storms here. A little bit of a large hail that I saw actually right before I jumped onto this stream here, but I'm gonna sit tight on that and look at this general storm. So I want to really break this down. We'll just get right into it. If you guys have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to type them in chat. I'll keep a very close eye. We'll see how active the stream gets. I know it's not a severe weather event, so we'll see how TikTok does. But looking at the storm right now, you can see nightfall coming across our storm. It is very far east, so it might be a little bit ahead of what you guys are seeing sun-wise. But look at that convection. We have a lot of deep convection, meaning very large. And really, this thing is starting to get organized. So as you look, we're probably very nearby of getting classified as a tropical storm. This is still not classified. We'll go to here for our Atlantic Basin outlook. We have a 90% chance of development of 92L within the next 48 hours. So really, tomorrow, I'm actually assuming this will be classified as a tropical storm. Now, the big question is, where is this one going? What's up, Rush Weather? Welcome to the chat. So I like all the weather accounts in the chat. Hopefully, you guys are having a lovely evening here. So we'll take a look at one of my favorite websites here. This is Weather Nerds. We'll take a little bit of a zoomed in outlook. First, taking a look at the Euro model, the ensemble model run. This was ran 12Z, so we're gonna sit on this one. Are we good in Kentucky? All the weather accounts are in here. We can take a look at the live radar here in a little bit. Hurricane wise, you guys are okay from Kentucky, but moving this forward a little bit more in time, if I can. Oh, here we go. So we're just going to move it all the way forward just so we can see the actual track. Maybe a little bit back because we can actually see the other wave. So this looks like a lot here, but we'll kind of break it down where I actually can't have my cursor here, but we'll bring it back a little bit more so it's a little bit easier to see. So right there, you can see all those storms just east of Bermuda, all those little L's kind of in the center of your screen there. That is our track, our predicted track, at least from the European ensemble model runs of where the storm is going, 92L, eventually going to be Gabriel. And some really great news for this one, except if you are going to Bermuda or live in Bermuda, is every ensemble member of this model run has what's called recurving out to sea. And this one actually doesn't even get very close to the United States. However, I want to kind of stress how most of the ensemble members are getting into that pink and orange color there. That pink and orange color is very strong storm. So the actual pink can work its way up to a major hurricane, depending on ensemble models. But we're seeing some pressure levels in the 960s there. So could be a Cat 2, Cat 3 hurricane. Some even 940s up in the kind of northern portion of there. So generally speaking on this storm here, at least at our current moment of time, a very good trend for the United States. Most models, and we'll move it along here a little bit more time. And thank you, Marty, for the follow. Welcome to the Rainy Day Weather family. Moving it a little bit more in time here. So now we're talking about looking at next Wednesday, so about 8 days away. Almost all the models have it going northward and eastward, but before taking that full turn, it is going to become a pretty large storm. So currently on this storm, I'd say we're probably going to see our next hurricane of the season. And but looking at the models right now, looking pretty good right now. Thank you, lady, for the follow as well. Do you know who will? Can you estimate the approximate size in square miles, like of the storm, Rick, or how the distance? If you could be a little bit more specific on that question, I'd love to answer it. But yeah, looking at this storm here, you might also notice on the heels of the storm, we actually have another area that is kind of getting picked up by ensembles. This is actually already designated by the National Hurricane Center, with a 20% chance of development within the next 7 days. So 2 areas to watch here. One that is probably going to be our next hurricane here, at least in the next 3 to 5 days, moving northwestward and then moving northeast. But let's look at a couple other models because, you know, the actual curving outward is pretty far out on the model run. We're talking about, you know, that 5 to 6 day range. So there still is wiggle room for change. And I don't want to fully give us the full green light of being no impacts for the United States. Even a very large storm, very far away from the United States, can actually propagate waves all the way to the eastern United States. So with this type of storm, I'd say wave and coastal impacts are almost guaranteed, at least wave-wise. So let's switch to a different ensemble here. We'll actually switch to the Google AI models. And the Google AI models are actually very confident here. It is, I gotta say, it is pretty rare that you see this much agreement on ensemble runs, especially we're talking about 8 days out here. So look at that pathway. You can see our kind of center in that blue color all the way down, kind of way east of the Lesser Antilles, moving northwestward almost immediately, not even taking any jogs west, becoming a tropical storm within the next 12 to 24 hours, eventually strengthening into a major hurricane east of Bermuda here. Clay is a team dominator science guy who fixes team dom and everything. Oh, that's really cool. What's up, Will Clay? Hope you're doing well. But yeah, looking at the storm here, looks like we're going to get a strong hurricane and another good ensemble run here, at least for the United States, as we're recurving out into the sea. And let's actually take a look at one more ensemble model I like to look at. This is the GFS. And this is why I don't like to say we are for sure on everything. Well, is this actually the correct forecast hour? I'm actually surprised of how... we're a little bit off forecast hour. What is going on with this model run? We might have to switch to a different website here. Look at the GFS in the Gulf. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with the actual forecast run on this GFS for Tuesday. Okay, this was better. I don't know. The 12Z is it running right now? The 12Z is a lot less confident than the Google AI and the Euro ensemble models. And commenting on the actual Gulf here, not really. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of signal, but to be fair, the GFS is pretty notorious for at least a little bit mid to long range, creating storms that are usually never going to happen just because of shear wise. So I have been seeing this general signal from the GFS that something will be happening in the Gulf, and I just am not totally sold on that actually happening because actual GFS runs tend to kind of form this thing, especially if we bring in a little bit more longer range, even at the end of his range here, which we're really pushing it for any reliability. Ooh, we are way too zoomed in. Hello. Okay. Can we not do that? Zoom out. There we go. So you can see this is an absolute mess, right? We got a few ensemble members in the Gulf producing, but really this is just an absolute disaster, and we'll move it back so we can actually get some sort of semblance out of this as well. Seeing some people, this is the first stream I'm doing duo on both YouTube and TikTok, so let me know on YouTube if anyone has any questions, or on TikTok. We're kind of trying to expand to different platforms, so this is kind of a test run for the actual streaming platform, so hopefully it's going well. But yeah, let's bring up, bring about the Euro. So I really think the big question is the next wave behind this. I don't want to totally write off this wave, but the GFS, kind of has to go in everywhere. Let's wait at least a couple more days, because once we have an actual storm with a full center developed, it becomes a lot easier to actually predict where exactly it's going to go. But if things would have to majorly change to start to be concerned, at least the entire United States, the Konos of the United States, it would be a very big shock for literally everyone. So right now, I think we're still in the actual watch phase for this region, especially Bermuda. I'd be on alert. Of course, you're no stranger to actual storms like this. But I mean, this is some good news here. It has been a very, knock on wood, relaxing hurricane season, and it actually has been 3 weeks, I believe, since we've had a named storm active in the Atlantic, which is unprecedented. I mean, this is peak season. This is where you usually have multiple storms tracking at once, and we will take it, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. But I also want to bring up, something that is useful, is just issued by the Climate Prediction Center here. This is kind of a future look. Let me see if I can get a little bit zoomed in for you guys of what the Climate Prediction Center is thinking, at least tropics-wise. And we'll start off with the one kind of right below me here. The hatched red area is a 20% chance of a development within a tropical zone here. And really, no surprise, is that zone is probably for our 20% right there, with that area northeast of the Lesser Antilles. But then I want to do point out the 20% in the Bay of Comanche, or the southern Gulf there. that is where you'd be concerned, especially as we move into late September, October. We actually have more signal, which let me look at our climatology. I'll show you guys the climatology for hurricanes in the month of October. You might be surprised about this. I was actually a little surprised about this when I looked into it a little bit more. We'll go all the way down. Sorry for the massive scrolling going on there, but here's what September looks like. We'll go to hurricanes over the past 100 years, climatology wise. Red is where we have our most active area, orange next, and green then blue. And really no surprise where we've had Hurricane Aaron, and then we're probably going to have our next hurricane here, Hurricane Gabriel. Going to take the most likely track that we've seen, at least climatology-wise, for September. But as we move into October, this is something to watch because the place that has been originating all of our storms, at least for this season so far, at least majority-wise, has been the MDR, which is that region west of the African coast there. So we kind of have waves propagate off there. October, that area becomes very less favorable for development. So that's why we really do not have any climatology-wise storms that have developed out there, at least, generally for, we've had less than 5 storms over the past 100 years form out there. So really, really not going to see any unless we have, of course, a weird season, which we've had a weird season, so who knows? But this is what brings me the most concern here. This is October. And you may notice we have storms that don't give us 10 or 12 days in advance. They give us more 2 to 3 days in advance. So the good news is, at least the past few weeks, we've had some very terrible conditions, at least for hurricane development in the Gulf, because we've had very strong winds aloft, which is called wind shear, from some stalled fronts, some bigger systems, kind of just bulldozing the Gulf. So anything that develops just gets ripped apart, which is some good news. However, in October, this is where you'd be concerned about things starting to change pattern. So let's say we get a pattern change where we no longer have the shear. Well, we have a big problem in the Gulf, guys. And the big problem is we've had no tropical activity there. And if we pull up our ocean analysis for surface temperature anomaly in the Western Atlantic, I do want to point this out. Look at that. We have record high temperatures in some regions and generally across almost the entire Gulf, very warm waters. Now, you actually might see off the kind of corner of Florida right there, it's below average than normal, which is starting to get some good news. However, the problem with this type of water is this is sea surface, the surface of the sea. It has been warm for a long time, which means the entire water column in the actual Gulf is very warm. So the surface cools off, and that is because I'm sure if anyone is in Florida, it's been pretty dry and cool there, relatively, for Florida. So it's been cooling off the waters a bit. However, the deeper water is still a giant ticking time bomb. So that is why I get really concerned for this type of pattern, is we've had a very calm, we've had a very fortunate season, and the unfortunate thing is there is no rule in the climatology books that if you have a really, quiet season, doesn't mean we're going to have a very quiet end of the season. And of course, it only takes one, especially for some of these vulnerable areas like Florida. And that green region right there is just off the coast of Mexico and the Cancun, east of Cancun, Cayman Islands, west of the Cayman Islands. We get something to form there. Let's say we get a week of break from wind shear. Now the storm has time and it has energy to really do some major problems, and that is climatology speaking. This is not an upcoming immediate threat, but moving into October, this is the combo of it being a very quiet season, so everyone has probably let their guard down just a little bit. And the water's being warm and a pattern change being possible. That is my biggest concern, at least for right now. See, like Fishy Dishy saying what nothing's happening this year really goes to prove my point that we're lowering our guard for this season because there are no rules. So yeah. Whatever happened to the one next to Hawaii? Actually moved northeast of Hawaii, bringing some pretty decent waves and surf to the region, but luckily missing to the northeast. Fingers crossed we don't get those low riders that creep into the Gulf. Yeah, I mean, Mayhew, if you ask me about my biggest concern for the end of this season, it's like, okay, we've had an amazing season. Very quiet. We will take it. We don't care. Now the combo of letting our guard down and, of course, the storms that are now homegrown, so we no longer have 10 to 12 days to react. We have 2 to 3 days. It concerns me. And I just hope it doesn't happen, but If it does, we will very much cover it here on the channel as well. So let me answer some more questions here. And I'm afraid October is going to be monstrous. Yeah, I mean, that's just what you have a concern about. Now, looking at grand scale things, that's where, you know, the actual ingredients for stuff is pointing in the direction of more active. But, you know, our mid to long range seasonability is more concerning now. What are you looking at? That's a great question. You're currently looking at climatology-wise, so over 100 years of our records, the National Weather Service records, where have tropical storms, actually we're looking currently at hurricanes, all right? Where have hurricanes formed in the month of October? And I'm really kind of drawing the point here as we move into October, we get more storms that happen close to the United States. And by happen, I mean form close and then impact. Drawn in by that green color. Green color is where we see the most storms during October. How often do large storms form on the U.S. mainland? So if you mean by like form on land, that doesn't really happen, but like impact U.S. mainland, I mean, it's not really common, but it's possible, and it really depends about your activity generally. You need to have storms to begin with for impacts. So, I mean, that's kind of the general breakdown for right now. So let me know if anyone else on YouTube or TikTok has any questions. We're checking both for tonight. If you guys are not on YouTube already, we are getting close. We're at 754 followers. We're trying to get to 1,000 here pretty soon. I've been learning meteorology for 6 months now. That's great. I hope you're having a great time. It's I'm taking some very advanced classes right now at Penn State for meteorology, and I'm having a blast. It is a lot of math and a lot of complicated stuff, but man, it is a lot of fun. I was impacted mildly by Helene and Milton. Smoked me last year. Yeah, those were some pretty problematic hurricanes, and of course, you know, they were quick hitters, especially Milton. Milton started in the Gulf, so it does not take a long run up for these storms with these conditions to get some problems. Do you believe one will happen this season? Dark. I mean, it's really not in my position to speculate on that. I think it's possible. But if anyone's telling you, oh yes, for sure something is going to happen, they are in the wrong field, because unfortunately the field of meteorology is explaining the uncertain, and the uncertain is right now is currently, I can tell you, there is no active threat. So looking at long range models, we should be okay, at least for the next 1 to 2 weeks. But generally speaking, climatology wise, it is very possible for a storm to happen. Any other questions? Yeah, hope not. We really do not hope not. I mean, this has been music to my ears, is looking at these storms just push off in the sea. We get to get some amazing satellite imagery, and also no one's affected, other than like shipping lanes, but they can move around them, right? I'm in Puerto Rico. We good for a few days. Yes. Actually, I could show you the current model run for Puerto Rico. You can see our it looks a little complicated here. We'll back it up just a little bit. But our new tropical storm that's going to probably form tomorrow is going to move northwest, so away from Puerto Rico. Keep an eye on the actual storm behind here. So all the way over here, we have another disturbance, but at least about 7 to 10 days away from Puerto Rico. So no immediate threat. We'll keep monitoring here at Rainy Weather. Of course, I do have daily updates on the page, so if you're not following already, keep an eye out for that, and let me know what questions otherwise you guys have. But yeah, this is the thing I wanted to show you guys is current forecast and what I'm mainly concerned about for upcoming here pretty soon as we move into October. Keep the questions coming, guys. Let me know what else you might want to see. I know we also have a little bit of severe weather going on, but I really wanted to talk about the tropical threat, because I think the vibe is going to start getting, at least, or people are going to start talking more about this ongoing threat. But right now, I think we are pretty much doing pretty well here. Yeah, but October, I've been looking into more in climatology, learning about what has happened, but I actually was pretty surprised to see how much homegrown storms we've had in the month of October. And by homegrown, I mean very close to the United States and then impacting. New York here, it's been wild weather. Yeah. Actually, I've not talked about something. You guys, okay, this is a great point. So, I have some questions for anyone here. Let me actually see if I can back up the radar. Maybe not, maybe I can. Oh yeah, I can. Okay, let's go back to this morning here. if it will let me. Hopefully, select. Okay, so look at this radar imagery from this morning here. And can anyone, well, I don't know if you guys are going to know this, but what does this look like to you here? We'll actually move it a little bit further ahead. We'll move it to 10. What does this look like? This is radar from this morning. Anyone see this off here? It's the next frame is loading. I don't know, I'm just curious if anyone has any ideas about this. But look at this. Look at this radar imagery here. Look at that. This is bringing a lot of rain, a lot of flooding rain to the kind of Virginia Beach region right now. Yeah, see, we got a point. This is an eye wall. This is this morning, by the way. So you might be really wondering, well, like, this really looks like a tropical storm or hurricane. What exactly is going on here? And actually, we've had some pretty big impacts from this storm here. This is not a tropical storm. However, it is still bringing some impacts that are very tropical and actually is bringing coastal flooding. So it's not classified as storm surge, but it's pretty much the same mechanism. And here, let me explain you guys a little bit about why this exactly is not a tropical storm, even though it is very borderline about being tropical or not. But there's a very fine definition in meteorology between a tropical storm and a non-tropical storm. So let's go first into kind of looking at impacts from this exact storm right now. And we'll go to a website called water.gov, which has some ongoing station models or measured stations for water level. And looking at Virginia Beach here, we have a major flood stage from seawater flooding right now, which you might be really wondering now, how are we having basically a storm surge that is now about 1.5 to 2 feet above normal, flooding this area, Virginia Beach, with major flood surge in this region? How is this not a tropical storm or hurricane? And that is because it is actually attached to a front. So going to, oops, that's not the right website I want to do. I just want to go to Weather Prediction Center. Here, let's break this down. Taking a zoomed in look at our weather map here. Drawing your attention to this cursor, you see the low pressure. That is where we might be seeing this actual storm for, where to be looking at if it was a tropical storm or not. But take note of these fronts on here. You see there's a warm front on the east and kind of a cold front on the southeast. It is still technically a sub or non-tropical storm because it is connected to fronts. So there's areas of lower pressure that propagate a little bit further away. And hurricanes and tropical storms are areas that are completely closed off low pressures. There are not any troughs or any fronts associated with that. And because we have fronts and association on this, that is why we do not have a tropical storm. Even though look at this. This literally looks like a tropical storm. Now, just kind of impact speaking wise, they are basically the same thing. The same impacts. We've actually had recorded wind speeds in the 60 to 65 mile per hour range today. So some pretty major wind speed. And then we've also had the sea level rise of about 2 feet and just very rough surf. So I got a question. Is it going to be really bad? Very locally, it could be bad because we've had some pretty major flooding. We'll go back to live radar here right now and take a look. The circulation is still ongoing. So you see the actual main circulation here. We got circulating kind of going like this. Let me get a little bit, let me get a radar out here actually. So look at all this banding happening. We have all this moisture being pulled out of the water and dumping it into areas that actually need some rain here. We've had a very bad drought in the southeast, or excuse me, the northeast and the mid-Atlantic region. And it is going to impact New Jersey a little bit. You might get some breezy conditions, especially in the southern portions of New Jersey. Some scattered rainfall. I wouldn't say anything very heavy, especially right now. But especially Virginia Beach, Maryland, and kind of Baltimore, Washington, D.C. region. Look at this. This pinwheel is just pulling in moisture. It's a moisture conveyor belt and dropping it right over you guys. So you might be getting some rain tonight and into even tomorrow, as this low pressure is expected to, the low sitting right here is going to expect to keep actually stall out and spin and eventually stall out and start to cease to exist in the next kind of 24 to 18 hours there. So that's kind of the full breakdown here. I kind of forgot to talk about that because this is a major thing. Is it looked like on radar there was a tropical storm hitting Virginia and we just weren't talking about it. Well, it technically wasn't. a tropical storm. And is there any tornado risk associated with this? That is a great question. And looking at the actual tornado risk, we do have a tornado risk, but it's very small. It's including Virginia Beach and east of Hampton, right in this region right here. I'd say there is a very low chance, especially for the Jersey area. Of course, you know, these low pressures that sit on land do kind of put in their own spin into the atmosphere, but the Storm Prediction Center is saying no tornado risk for this exact storm. I appreciate that, Tufts, and thank you for what is this? I don't know what the tap is. And I don't need a mod right now. I appreciate it, though. It's a pretty chill chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate the you being here. Tater Tots, like your name. But yeah, I mean, the weather's starting to get active. And we can take a quick peek over to our area that has more tornado threat here in the Nebraska, the western Nebraska. I mean, look at this rainfall. We're getting some rainfall rates in a pretty high amount here, and some large hail as well. I mean, look at this hail core. Ooh, we got some bright returns happening here. That pink and purple hail core over in the kind of northwest corner of Oklahoma, seeing some pretty large hail. Probably could see some golf ball sized hail from this storm here. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions about the tropics, ongoing severe weather, or anything here. Again, I just wanted to do a brief kind of live stream. One, to also test our YouTube capability, and then two, to, of course, inform you guys about the ongoing tropical threat. But we are having some great trends of lately. Let's hope this continues. But again, we will be here no matter what happens. Rain or shine, we'll be here. What's your YouTube? It's literally the same thing. Rainy day weather will be the same thing. You just look up rainy day weather. I believe it actually comes up now. So it was like kind of hidden away, but YouTube finally is pushing it. I appreciate that, Tufts. Yeah, I'm trying to get YouTube started up a little bit more because OBS is a little bit easier to work on YouTube. And for our severe weather live streams, or for our chase streams, I'm planning on streaming on both TikTok and YouTube. So hopefully you guys are getting excited for that. Just turning in what's happening at the tropics. Tyler, that's a great question. And we'll give you a little bit of rundown real quick. Looking at the tropics by the National Hurricane Center, we have two areas to watch. 90% chance of development within the next 48 hours. And I think tomorrow, actually, we're going to be seeing that storm be named Gabriel. The good news I have with the storm is it is looking very likely to recurve and not have any general impacts for the United States other than coastal wave impacts. You can see our ensemble model runs are designated by all those little spaghetti lines. Those ensembles start with the similar conditions, but they have their conditions slightly tweaked, and then the model runs, and then it runs and runs. And in this one, there's 51 members that run their model and shows you kind of the wide range of impacts overall. Now, the tighter the spaghetti models are, the more confidence. This one, I'd say, has moderate confidence for the Euro, but if we take a look at the actual, we'll look at the AI, the Google AI model here, and look at that confidence. Very, very great confidence on the actual recurving out. And if you look at where this storm starts, where that blue line, all the blue lines start out, it immediately moves northwest. So by tomorrow, even tomorrow morning, we'll know if how well these are doing. And lastly, we have a wave behind this, but I'd say this one is a bit too far out to forecast for. 20% chance of development within the next 7 days. Looking at the ensemble models for that one, I'd say ensembles are either having it fizzle out by the time it gets to the Lesser Antilles, or they just don't know yet. So we'll keep an eye on this one, but this one is probably out here. This is probably going to be Hurricane Gabriel pretty soon. And we actually just had an update as of 7/17, so just a little bit after we started streaming. They did not name it yet, but they're giving a 90% chance of development within the next 48 hours. Is it Gabby? I believe it's Gabriel, I think, right? Yeah, it is Gabriel. I don't think it's Gabby. I don't think Gabriel would be appreciated being called Gabby, but call it whatever you want, I guess. Oh, that is a good point. The remnants of Mario is coming to California. We can take a look at that. I actually made a video about that. Mario is currently a tropical depression, and looking at its forecast cone, it actually might not seem like it's going to get to California, but we can look at a different story here. Heading over to pivotal weather, if you're interested in looking at this for yourself, we'll look at the regional, moving to the southwest of the United States. And then a good thing to look at when you're kind of looking for moisture transport is upper air to mid-range moisture. So we'll look at 500 millibar, about halfway through the atmosphere of where we'd be expecting moisture to go. Go to a forecast loop. You can see right now, Southern California, very dry. Arizona, I mean all of California. These are humidities, so very low humidities. We actually will move this forward in time and take a look at that. That might be a welcome sign, depending on how strong this moisture is. So this is a two sides of the coin kind of discussion on here. You can see we get a boost of moisture for some areas that really need it. However, if it is not enough to saturate the atmosphere, we can get what's called a dry thunderstorm, which actually can be very bad for the region. This happens when we have moisture kind of in the upper atmosphere. The thunderstorm creates, but at the surface of the atmosphere, we have a problem. It is very dry. So what happens is the thunderstorm fires off, you get lightning hit the ground, and then the rain falls. But the problem is, when the rain starts to fall, it evaporates before it gets to the surface. So the surface is now dry, and then you also have lightning. You can probably see where this is going. In an area like Southern California, you get dry thunderstorms, you can have a large wildfire problem happen quickly because every lightning strike can be a different wildfire overwhelming people. So I think we're kind of borderlining on how much moisture we have. Because it's tropical induced, I think we might have enough moisture where we might not have a widespread problem of dry lightning. But we can look at more of a widespread outlook for the entire Southwest. Let me see if I can do the four corners for you guys. But yeah, the dry thunderstorms are my main concern. So like, you initially want to celebrate, like, oh yes, moisture. But then, thank you, Tufts, for subscribing on YouTube. Appreciate that. Welcome to the Rainy Day Weather family on YouTube. But yeah, I get concerned about, of course, the dry thunderstorms as well. Looks like the moisture boost is going to come and kind of protrude across the entire Southwest. So you might get a little bit of bolster for thunderstorms if they make it to the ground. I think that's a big thing. I love some rain in Phoenix. It's been pretty lame monsoon season. Yeah, you guys had that one haboob earlier. What was that, a couple weeks ago? That was pretty cool, but has it been pretty quiet there? Thank you, Tornado Drawler, for the follow. Welcome to the Rainy Day Weather family. So yeah, that's kind of a breakdown about that one. I made a video about that a couple days ago, actually, talking about the moisture transport into the region. Let's just hope it is enough to bring some actual precipitation and not immediately dry, because it is just so dry. Also, last little thing, I think unless we have any other questions, I want to talk about is, oh man, I might have to pull up the link here on my actual laptop here. Give me 1 second. Guys, we might have a bad pumpkin season. I know this might be hard to hear, but the Northeast is actually in pretty big trouble for pumpkin season. If you guys like big pumpkins, they need water. And if you have not known, it has not been raining in the Northeast. I think State College in Pennsylvania has received 1.15 inches of rain over the last 45 days. That is the driest period on record of 180 years for State College. It has been very dry. I'm just pulling up the link right now. I only have it on my laptop. Okay, I got it. I think it's ACES climate map. This is a last little tidbit to give you guys. For my Halloween lovers out there, I have some pretty bad news. I actually just made a little video about this, but I'll give you guys a little bit more in-depth look of what I am thinking and what I'm feeling. We can already see a lot of red on here, but we'll go the last 14 days, and we'll do departure from normal. We'll focus, percent from normal actually is a better one. Focus on the Northeast, and see if I can find the Northeast. There we go. Look at the Northeast here. I mean, we have rainfall rates. This is a percent from normal. Some areas have only seen 5% of their normal rainfall over the last 14 days. And switching to our monthly outlook, look at this, even worse. We have lots of areas that have seen below 25% of their normal precipitation. So a pretty big problem for areas that have later harvests. I know I heard some people talking to farmers here, at least in State College in Pennsylvania, that have had issues because This is the season where pumpkins usually start to bulk up, of course, and soak up a lot of water, and we've not had a lot of rain. Harvest is already well underway here in Maine. The pumpkins are definitely a lot smaller than norm. Yeah, thank you for that report. And even Maine, you can see Maine, only a tiny percentage of the actual region has seen above average rainfall, or at least over the last 30 days. Many portions of the entire region have seen below average rainfall. Pennsylvania is one of the worst, and of course, Ohio actually looks like the worst out on this map here. So any crop that relies on rain, especially late in the season, we're talking about kind of August, September range, there's going to be some issues. And I just made a video about this. Your pumpkins are probably going to be smaller this year. So I'm a bit sad. I don't know about you guys, but like when I got to the pumpkin patch, I try to find like the biggest pumpkin, because of course you need to carve something into it. It's not easy to carve something on the on a small pumpkin. Let me know if you guys want a carving pumpkin stream. That might be fun to do. For we're about to reach 50,000 followers, so that might be fun to do. Maybe 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We'll have that. Thank you, Davino, for following. Appreciate that. But yeah, there you go. That's all the weather I really got in store for you guys. Unless anyone else has any last minute questions, thank you guys for stopping by, getting us to 200 likes. I'll kind of stick around just a little bit longer if anyone on YouTube has questions. Anyone on TikTok has any questions as well. Little things to point out. Of course, we're always keeping track of tropical season. If any landfalling hurricane comes or anything threatens the United States, we will be live for that landfall or any impacts. So very great news. We haven't had to do that once this season, so let's keep that going. And when will Ohio get any rain? Oh gosh, we can end on the forecast for that one. Let me switch regions. If I can remember how to use pivotal. There we go. Regional. Let's switch to. I hate when they like have it right in the center. Okay, yeah, we can see Ohio. Switch to. I think the campus flu, the PSU flu, is trying to get to me. So looking at least, so you have that tropical kind of non-tropical storm off the coast, dropping a lot of rain in the southeast corner of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and the eastern portions of Virginia. But that is going to quickly exit our region. We do have another front coming in, but look at that. You see just a tiny bit. And actually, I think this might be overdone because there is a cold front moving through. And you usually think of rain when that happens, but it is so dry that when this cold front comes through, it lifts up the air and there's nothing there. It's so dry. So no rainfall at least till next week, and we move a little bit further in time. Now we're getting to next Monday where our models are getting a little iffy, and then the model run kind of has some rain finally getting to the Ohio region next Wednesday. But I kind of take that with a grain of salt because it's on the edge of our forecast confidence and also the pattern we've been in. We really need some what's called moisture advection. We need a conveyor belt to transport moisture from the south into Ohio, and I'm not totally sold on that happening just yet. So hopefully I can bring you guys some better news in the next coming days that, oh my gosh, Ohio will finally get rain, but we'll see. I'm not too sold on it. And with the current pattern that we've been in, I would not be surprised if for the next few model runs it just evaporates, and that's that. We don't see anything. Will there be tornadoes or will there be rain? Broody, can you tell me about your region? Right now, we might see some tornadoes in the Nebraskan region right now. Other than that, Colorado, we have a severe thunderstorm watch northeast Colorado right here. Current severe thunderstorm warning for east of Denver. Yeah, we'll see if actual rain happens, guys. But look at this absolute mess happening in Nebraska, though. Massive flash flooding risk happening because these storms are just parked. It's been 90 degrees plus. I know it's... Of course, it was like so cool in August, but now we're getting second summer across lots of areas, especially the Midwest, Central Plains, and the Northeast. Northeast hasn't been that hot because we've had some clouds to regulate our temperature, but it is... definitely not felt. We haven't felt any rain, so that's pretty big. No, there's not really any active weather going on in Pennsylvania. Well, there's a severe thunderstorm warning for Kansas City right now. That is a very weak severe thunderstorm warning. Oh, it was a microburst. Oh, that was really cool. Look at that radar loop, guys. You see the storm form and then just die out on itself. And then you might see this wave propagate away from it. That's all the wind being pushed out from underneath the storm. Very cool microburst in action there. And then we can look at Pennsylvania for clouds or just storms. And a few rain showers in southeast PA. But other than that, very dry. Very dry. Alright guys, thank you guys for joining us. Last call for questions before we end the stream here. Appreciate you being here. And hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see how things develop tropical-wise. Of course, I'll keep making updates. Right now, I'm pretty confident that we're not going to have any direct impacts, at least for the next 10 days. Thanks for joining us, Tufts Weather. See you next time. And everyone else, answer everyone else's questions. Last 10 seconds. Ask your questions or forever hold your peace. Alright, cool.